Standing atop the winding hills of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, the Crescent Hotel stands as an imposing structure, its limestone walls etched with over a century of secrets. The building's majestic Victorian architecture and sweeping verandas offer a breathtaking view of the Ozarks by day, but as dusk settles and the fog rolls in, its silhouette transforms from grand to chilling. For decades, visitors have been drawn not only by its beauty, but by its reputation as America's most haunted hotel, a place where the past lingers a little too closely, and shadows hold more than just the night. The story of the Crescent Hotel begins in 1886, when it opened its doors as a luxurious resort for the elite. Designed to be an oasis for wealthy travelers seeking solace in Eureka Springs' reputedly healing waters, the hotel quickly became the jewel of the Ozarks. Guests arrived on the Grand Railroad line, eager to dine in opulent halls and dance beneath crystal chandeliers. Yet the land on which it was built had its own history, whispered by Native Americans and early settlers. Stories of sacred springs and restless spirits, of laughter and tragedy echoing through the stone. Not long after its opening, strange things were reported: flickering lights, footsteps in empty corridors, and whispers that refused to fade. Staff spoke of mysterious cold spots and doors opening on their own. For many, these were simply quirks of a grand, aging building. But as the years passed, the Crescent would earn a darker reputation, one that would forever mark its place in American lore. The 1900s saw the hotel change faces, serving as a women's college and dormitory. Students would tell each other ghost stories by candlelight, daring one another to wander the halls after dark. Some claimed to see a gentleman in Victorian dress, known later as Michael, who supposedly met his end during the hotel's construction. He is said to frequent room 218, a place so notorious that it's often booked months in advance by those seeking a brush with the other side. But the most chilling chapter in the Crescent's history began in 1937, when the hotel was purchased by Norman Baker, a showman and inventor from Iowa with a sinister agenda. Baker arrived in Eureka Springs flaunting a white suit and purple tie, promising miracles. He claimed he could cure cancer and transformed the Crescent into the Baker Cancer Hospital. Drawing hundreds of desperate patients from across the country, Baker peddled fake cures and false hope for a fortune. In truth, he was no doctor, and his so-called treatments consisted of little more than injections of colored water and alcohol. Patients suffered under his care, their families filling the hotel's once cheerful halls with sorrow and loss. It is said that many died within those walls, their grief trapping their spirits in the place that had promised salvation but delivered only betrayal. After Baker was exposed as a fraud and imprisoned, the hotel's reputation as a haunted haven solidified. To this day, guests and staff alike report countless encounters that defy explanation. Visitors speak of seeing ghostly nurses hurrying through the hallways, their uniforms fluttering silently as they vanish around corners. Some have heard the faint cries of children or caught glimpses of a young woman in outdated clothing peeking from behind closed doors. One of the most famous apparitions is Theodora, a staff member during the Baker years who is known to politely introduce herself before vanishing. In the old morgue in the basement, which once housed Baker's victims, many visitors have reported a distinct chill, a coldness that seeps into bones no matter the season. The hotel's legend invites skeptics and believers alike to test their courage. Many arrive hoping to experience something beyond the ordinary, armed with cameras, audio recorders, and EMF meters. Guest interviews reveal a pattern: disembodied voices recorded late at night, unexplained shadows captured in photographs, doors closing with a determined force. Some describe feeling watched, a prickling sense at the back of the neck as if a presence hovers just out of sight. Still others report waking in the middle of the night to see figures standing at the foot of their beds, only to blink and find them gone. Archival photographs show the hotel's journey through time: elegant soirees, hopeful patients on the wide porches, and black-and-white portraits with spectral blurs in the background. In one, a woman appears to stand in a window of a room long empty, her features blurred and eyes hauntingly direct. In another, construction workers line up outside the foundation, said to include the ill-fated Michael, arm draped casually around a friend as though he had yet to meet his untimely end. For those brave enough to participate in a nighttime investigation, the air inside the Crescent bristles with anticipation. The halls are dimly lit, casting long shadows that stretch and twist, playing tricks on the mind. Investigators pause at the threshold of room 218. The door creaks open. Inside, the room feels both ordinary and electric, as if its history is a living, breathing presence. Tools crackle and flicker as investigators call out, sometimes receiving answers in the form of faint taps or whispered words. Downstairs, in the morgue, spirit boxes burst into static before releasing fragments of sentences, leaving listeners wondering whether it's coincidence or communication. Every inch of the Crescent seems layered with energy that demands to be felt. Guests wandering the grand staircase have claimed to feel invisible hands on their shoulders or a cold brush against their cheek. The staff, seasoned by years of stories, move with a knowing caution after dark. One housekeeper recalls leaving a perfectly tidy room, only to return moments later and find towels thrown on the floor and dresser drawers pulled open. Another describes shutting off all the lights one evening, only to look back and see them switched on one by one, as if someone was trailing behind her. Yet for all these unsettling events, there is an odd allure to the Crescent Hotel. It isn't just the ghosts that draw people in, it's the chance to connect with a past that refuses to be forgotten, to walk where so many have before, and to feel the weight of real, untold stories. Paranormal enthusiasts seek out the truth while adventure travelers come for the thrill of the unknown, hoping to catch just a glimpse of the world that lies between ours and whatever comes next. Some arrive as skeptics, only to leave with their darkest doubts unsettled. Throughout its halls, the Crescent tells the story of hope and heartbreak, fortune and fraud, life and death. It stands as a reminder that history is rarely as simple as it seems. The laughter of its early guests echoes alongside the sorrow of Baker's patients, forever entwined within its walls. When the wind howls and the trees outside cast twisted shadows across the old stone, it's easy to believe that the past is not so distant, that those who suffered here have left part of themselves behind. As the night deepens, and only the faintest glimmers of light seep from beneath heavy wooden doors, the Crescent Hotel seems to come alive in a way few places can, whether it's the vision of a nurse gliding silently past, the pang of cold in the middle of a hot summer night, or the feeling that someone, somewhere, is watching from just beyond the veil. One thing becomes clear. At the Crescent, every story, every legend, every whispered name becomes a living part of its unforgettable legacy. And for those who visit, the ultimate question lingers long after checkout. Was it just the imagination, or did they truly brush up against the spirits who still call the Crescent Hotel home?